Okay, I'm excited. When we saw, then I went from this like to let's go.
What's up, Freos?
So close. I'm trying. But for today's video, we're gonna be chopping it up, talking about Spider-Man No Way Home. Is it No Way Home?
No Way Home.
No Way Home. I was about to say No Way From Home, but I think I got it mixed up with the second one. What is
Far
it?
From
Far
Home.
From Home. So I had the far somewhere.
They should have thought of a different title. The last one's Far From Home. This one's No Way Home. You're gonna easily mix up those two. Like when you're trying to make your top Spider-Man movies, you can be like, wait, which one was it? No Way. One of those from homes, god dang. Come on. Homecoming, Far From Home, No Way Home. All of them have home.
I'm gonna need them to come up with a next one that is not mentioning home. Please, we've had 3 homes. For those of you who have not yet seen the video, we're gonna be talking about it a little bit, but it's gonna be a point where we're gonna spoil the hell out of it. And if you're still watching this, it's your fault. Yo, the synopsis for this is basically a continuation of the second one, which was Far From Home, when they was in London with Mysterio and all that stuff. So if you haven't seen that one, you're gonna get spoiled. It's the post of Mysterio revealing Spider-Man's true, I guess you could say, identity. So Spider-Man and Peter Parker are the same thing. We start off with that, and it's basically mayhem. Like everybody knows who he is. You got your Mysterio cultists who believe Mysterio, then you got your Spider-Man fans. So it's like basically Peter Parker is famous, and I guess you could say the backstory of this film is how will he adjust to being famous. He's practically the only Spider-Man, I believe, in the trilogy of Spider-Mans to have his identity revealed. So it's like, how is he going to reveal? How is he going to do this, and that, and the third? Basically, we got to that point where he went for help post-Endgame, because I know a lot of people were confused. They were saying, is this pre-Endgame or post-Endgame? Because if you saw Black Widow, it was pre-Endgame, whereas this is post. So this is going to be Tony Stark is dead. Everything is in current storyline. He got the girl, he got the best friend, and all that good stuff. What was your thoughts heading into this? Like, did you get everything you wanted?
You know what? I say absolutely, man. As a Spider-Man fan, definitely this was everything that was. Let's just put it out there. This is definitely not a spoiler to say that this movie lives up exactly to its hype. This movie definitely, if you're a true Spider-Man fan, pick your favorite movie, or even if you want to go the 90s route with the cartoon. If you're just any type of Spider-Man fan whatsoever, there's tons of Easter eggs to catch, tons of things for you to be excited as a Spider-Man fan about. You know what I mean? Even if you're not like super hardcore Marvel, but you know when it comes to a guy marquee like Spider-Man, oh man, I go crazy for some Spider-Man. This is definitely the movie for you because it just fulfills. I will say for me, at first it goes from, like you said, how it picks up from where the last one left off. It's chaotic, yet I feel like it has its slow moments. Like right in the first half of the movie, you know, like I feel like it starts off a little slow, where it makes sense what they're doing story-wise of this one, but it just kind of starts off slow because the trailers that you've probably seen, if you're the type to watch them, kind of show you that it's going to be an action-packed type of film. Every film has its build-up, and you're going to have that slow feel where you're like, you know, but once it gets to the juicy stuff, man, I guess we should call something for that for us. Maybe the Freo side of things, you know, who knows? But when it gets to that, man, this is just a complete roller coaster ride and complete nostalgic vibes on so many levels, especially for my older fans out there like myself and Gresh, who remember all of these Spider-Man movies. So if you're a younger fan and you're watching this, if you haven't really done your history and you probably just know the current Spider-Man, it'll be like, who are these guys? They're cool Spider-Mans.
I would say basically, I didn't really feel a slow moment in this movie. Like it didn't really give me a reason to look at my phone, because normally when I was watching like Black Widow, I would probably tweet something out because it was a slow moment. But this one, I'm like, oh shoot, I forgot to look at my phone. This is a nitpick for those people who I'm trying to figure out, because I saw it on premiere day. I'm trying to figure out who told these kids to come up in these theaters. They were loud all over the place. Like not all of them. Like the theater I was in, because I was at the Studio Grill, it was probably like one baby, and she whined a little bit at the beginning because I guess they were settling down, and then now towards the end where it picked up, she was a little whiny. But I got to that point where I pretty much tuned them out. Parents, we said leave your kids at home. Leave them at home. It's stuff like that. But this one, I really had no complaints. It kept my attention the entire time, because if I had to describe my emotions from watching this film, it was, okay, I'm excited. When we saw, then I went from this like to, yeah, let's go, let's go, let's go. And then when we got to the part where he had to make his decision at the end, I was like, we doing that for real? Oh, we going that route. And then when it was over, I was like, that's it. And then when we got to the post credit, because real Marvel fans, we sit through the whole credit. We got that, and we got him, and then when we got to the post credit.
What?
Post credit.
Okay.
Because some people, they wait for that post-credit scene, but then they still leave. They're like, oh, that's it. No. You sit through everything. When you see Sony and the last thing, you sit there because they're giving you a teaser of what the next movie and the timeline is. And the next movie is Doctor Strange. If you did not see low-key WandaVision, this movie, you're not going to understand a word of what's going to happen in Doctor Strange 2. Because all three of them ties together. Like, dude, I'm ready.
When I say I had slow moments, it definitely kept my attention, definitely, for sure, all the way from. I was not on my phone, not one bit through this. I got on my phone just around the time of maybe the previews a little bit. Even those kept my attention, for crying out loud. There's a lot of dope movies that me and Gresh got reviewed coming for y'all. But I agree, man. Like it was definitely catching my attention from start to finish. I was not on my phone, not one part of this movie. It's more so for me, like when I say slow in terms of I get where they were building up. And I guess it's because as a super fan in me, it's like you gotta explain slowly what's leading into what's about to happen. It's just sometimes when it comes to that, it's like that's some of the stuff you've kind of already seen before a little bit, getting into the relationship of, and getting into the, all that. Those type of things, those little subplots where you're like, okay, we got that in the last movie, in the movie before that, and even some of the Avengers movies, so it's just those little subplotted things. But again, man, I just want to shout out the nostalgia of this. Is just everything that arguably makes this, one could say, this movie is the greatest live action Spider-Man movie of all time. This one.
What did you say?
Oh, that's
I said live action. So I know you guys out there are probably thinking, well, wait a minute, what about that other Spider-Man movie with the Spider-Man? Gresh knows which Spider-Man we're talking about. Who got an Easter egg, by the way? I'm gonna see how many people caught that Easter egg.
Bruh.
Live action sense. Just if we're going off the live action spike, this is arguably the greatest one. But you can make your cases on some of the other ones of the past. Turning it to Gresh.
You have 5 seconds to get off this video. And then the count already started when I started talking. So if you're still in this video and you're about to get spoiled and it's nobody to blame but yourself. So let's talk about it. Dog. Man, what a movie, bro. That's all I can say. Like, dog. I knew from the jump that this would be one of the dopest movies I had ever seen. It started off, Mysterio did his damage. He revealed to the world that Peter Parker was Spider-Man. Spider-Man was Peter Parker. Peter Parker, being the naive of literally every Spider-Man in existence, was like, bro, we want to get into college, you want to do this and that and third. Due to recent controversy being the Mysterio situation, they got rejected at the #1 school that they wanted to get into, MIT. Peter said, oh, okay. They got declined because they know Spider-Man, aka Peter Parker. So he went to Doctor Strange, of all people. He was like, yo, can you make the world forget that I'm Peter Parker? And he was like, oh, okay. But that means everybody's going to forget. Peter Parker, in his infinite goofiness, decided to say, you know what? How about my girlfriend? No. She can't remember. How about my Aunt May? Like, he kept tampering with the spell. And if you watch Doctor Strange, you know you can't tamper with the spell because there will be dire consequences. He tampered with the spell. Doctor Strange lost control of the spell. And due to that, him losing control of that spell, he cracked open the multiverse. Because Peter Parker would not shut the fuck up. That's all you had to do. Bruh, when I tell you I was getting aggravated with Peter, he would not shut up. To describe my emotions with Peter Parker,
some of the stuff that they do, it could be avoided by them just not being a dumbass.
That's it. You would save yourself the heartache, the struggle, the drama, if you would think. Use your common sense. He was not using his common sense at all. And I'm like, bruh. So strike one, he screwed up the spell, and doing so, he cracked the multiverse. And while Doctor Strange was able to contain the spell, villains from other universes were able to crack through. Among those villains, Dr. Otto Octavius from the original Spider-Man, not no recast, the original Spider-Man 2. And to say that the actor, what was his name?
Alfred Molina.
To say that man has not aged, he looked the same. And Spider-Man 2 came out in 2004. This man looks the same. Dr. Octopus, Doc Ock, looks the same as he did in 2004. Whatever you are doing, Botox, whatever, keep it up. I respect that. When he said that, and he said everything that he said in the second one.
I had the power of the sun in my hand. I was choking the life out of Peter Parker, and then I came up here.
And I'm like, oh my God. So we got a little battle. We got a little battle on the bridge. Got a little battle because Peter was trying to get his friends and his girlfriend a second chance to get in MIT. So yeah, you had a little bridge scene, a little bridge battle, and then they ripped off the mask. And he's like, "You're not Peter Parker." And I'm like, "Oh shit." Here we go. And then you got a blast from 2002. Once you hear that laugh, you already know. Green Goblin. Or as they say, what did they call him? A lizard?
Elf. They called him an elf. A green elf, actually.
The green elf on the board came stirring up some shit. So that crack in the timeline with that spell grabbed villains from each timeline in their respective universes. Because in Green Goblin's timeline, he's not dead yet. In Dr. Octopus's timeline, he's dead. Green Goblin is dead. So they grabbed him. A lot of people in the theater did not understand how they all were alive at the same time. I'm like, they grabbed him from each timeline. After that bridge scene, you had Doctor Strange grabbed him and trapped him because Doctor Strange's plan was to just send them back to their own timeline so everything can go back to normal. As the movie progressed, we got a glimpse of the amazing Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield's universe. Electro with Jamie Foxx, shouts out. And then you had the Lizard or Lizzie or Lizard Man, Dr. Lizard, Dr. Connors. You had him as well. And then you had Sandman from Spider-Man 3. So we had villains from each timeline in the original Spider-Man as well as the second trilogy. Or was it a trilogy or was it just two?
Amazing Spider-Man was just two.
Put Amazing Spider-Man in my brain, in the back of my brain, because it was the least of my favorites, if I'm being honest with you. Then
I agree.
So we was left with a situation. So this is where the movie pretty much changed the direction of everything. Doctor Strange's plan was to send everybody back to their respective timeline and fix whatever. Spider-Man heard their fate, where in each timeline that they battle Spider-Man, they die. And this is where I go back to where this Spider-Man is the most ignorant of all three. He said, you know what? No, I can cure them. So he tried to thwart Doctor Strange's plan. So he did, and he grabbed the box. And then I'm like, you idiot, don't you do it. Don't you do it. Don't. All right, you did it. So we got a whole battle between Doctor Strange and Spider-Man. Spider-Man won because he figured out he was smart and he figured out the puzzle of Doctor Strange's world that he put them in. I'm like, okay, cool. The entire time, me and my sister was just sitting up in the theater like, he's about to fuck it up. What are your thoughts up until this point?
I gotta shout out William Dafoe, aka Goblin, because as you mentioned, he looks the same, but more so just the nostalgia. I felt like I was in 2002 all over again. Literally from the suit, even though I see what they did a nice little tribute, giving you the old suit and mixing it with a twist toward the end, trying to give you that modern day hooded Goblin look to a degree. MCU always got to do day remakes of things, but it was like, I see what they did there. You know, every villain got their remix of their look and appearance, because you know MCU like, that was cute, Sony, but you know we're gonna do it like this, you know. So shout out, you know, I see what the MCU did there. Now, agreed, man. The first opening battle, just that bridge scene alone, very comical. How literally this Spider-Man's like being a kid. It actually, to me, I took this as, that's a generational thing, no doubt. That he's hacking this man's tentacles. Oh, look at that. Something they wouldn't have thought the Spider-Man of our time would have been able to do, because, you know, technology was around, but nowhere near where you could just hack easily at the touch of buttons like that. So it's like, oh yeah, of course this Spider-Man is just like, oh, I'll just hack your tentacles. You're easy. You're in mind control. You know, it was a lot of little subtle things they did with Spider-Man where it was just like, this is hilarious. I like how they're able to do that with this verse. And that was one of them. But to see William Dafoe come through and just, even just that switch of freaking Norman Osborn to Goblin just like that, just to be able to be like, this man really takes that role as completely serious as anybody. No one can ever probably be Green Goblin again outside of this man, because that man literally just shows you, if you're gonna play this character, this villainous character, because real Spider-Mans know Green Goblin is literally a dual-minded individual. He's half Norman Osborn and half that alter ego of the Green Goblin, and the Green Goblin 9 times out of 10 wins that battle, because he literally will come out when he feels like it. And boy did he, because he knew he was the one villain out of everybody. I was like, yeah, this is gonna be built around him, because he's the smartest one out of them all. He's the one that'll just kind of act like he's just regular old Norman. And right when you least expect it, that old Green Goblin goof, he gonna come right out like, ha, gotcha. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I was just waiting for that moment of, okay, when is he gonna? And he gave you a little hint here and there. I was like, okay, he been a little too friendly as Norman. When's that Goblin coming out for real? Because he ain't finna let somebody cure him. It's just funny for him to even say that. Did you really think I was gonna let you cure me? No. Yeah, it was, oh man, William Dafoe, brother. Bravo, man, bravo. See, this makes me hate that they killed you off in your universe. You know, like, that man should have been on for the next 2 beyond that. But I get it. They had to throw other villains in there. I get it. You know, it's just, man, you could have kept William Dafoe. You did not have to kill him off in that original Spider-Man, man. You should have kept that. He clearly showed you how many years later, almost 2 decades later, that, yo, I can still do this role at any given moment. Right now. So that was pretty dope. I really did enjoy this battle between Strange and Spider-Man per se. To me, it shows the GOAT level of Spider-Man as a character in terms of being able to just about beat almost anybody at will when he wants, because he truly just has to figure you out. I mean, essentially, he's basically the Batman of the Marvel Universe in a sense. I mean, some people say Black Panther, and that's definitely the truth with their wittiness and how smart they are. But Spider-Man's arguably about the same level. Like, it would be Spider-Man, Black Panther, Batman from a DC universe. Like, 3 of the smartest individuals that mindset, that mind can just literally figure out, okay, this person likes to do this, or okay, this person is XYZ. All I gotta do is this and that, and boom, that's how you beat him. Perfect. The fact that he was able to do what no other person, Strange is one of the most powerful characters in this doggone universe.
Next to Wanda.
To be in that universe of his and figure out, oh, it's just basic geometry. You're good at geometry. Let's do this. Da, 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 da. You're stuck in your universe. I'm gonna take this from you now. Sorry, Strange. Bye. It's like, wow. And it's so funny because all this did was really show you how much of a freaking kid Spider-Man still is, which is always scary because if he's doing this as a kid, just imagine Spider-Man as an adult. He's actually mature enough to realize I'm doing things, because even Strange had to acknowledge that, y'all. Like, he literally had to say, sometimes, Peter, going back to Josh's pet peeve point of, hey, Peter, shut up. Peter can't shut up, because him and Deadpool are the most talkative characters in the MCU. If this were Deadpool, we'd all be doomed, because he talks more than Spider-Man does, and he never shuts up. So it's like, those two, when you look at Strange saying, Peter, I sometimes forget you're still a kid. That was something that Tony Stark himself even said. He's so smart that he has his dumb moments at the same time because he's still a kid. And we forget that because of just him being Spider-Man, essentially.
He's basically Spider-Boy.
Yeah.
He is the equivalent of being a smartass but a dumbass at the same time.
At the same time.
He's a smart dumbass.
Because you even see actually going back to the opening, when you see like all of the people, the whole city, the whole world knowing who he is. Even they're like, oh my God, he's just a kid. You're just a kid under that suit. You're just a kid. How do you do that? And it's just like, this is what it's like.
Did you catch that in the beginning? That Karen
yes.
moment? Where she's like, he hit me, bitch.
I love how this Spider-Man caters so much to this generation that it's not even funny, from technology to the slang to the camera, you name it. It does such a great job with that. Each generation has its own method that reaches, and this is just was so perfect. But like you said, up until this point, that's all I can really say leading up to this point is that I really enjoyed those knickknacks, and shout out to Jamie Foxx being witty as well, because I found that kind of funny where as soon as they come across him and cross his path, he's there and he's all naked.
You two gonna actually stand there and act like I'm butt ass naked?
Yeah, you know, like
what?
He's like, where are we? We're in the woods, because I don't like the woods. I bought that. I'm like,
what?
Black people don't like the woods, bro. You know
We
that.
don't.
You should know that.
don't.
Like and it's
woods.
just shout out to Jamie Foxx, man, because I really love his character in this more than I did in The Amazing Spider-Man. The Amazing Spider-Man gave him a serious route as a villain, like a little too serious, because it was just like, oh, I'm a freak and nobody wants to be around me now. I'm Electro, so I'm just gonna destroy everything. You're not trying to help me.
Mm-hmm.
But like this one gave you more character. Like Jamie actually got to be Jamie in this, like where you're like, oh yeah, that's a total Jamie Foxx thing to say, but he's Electro at the same time. Like I love how he would just be like, oh man, I like it here. I can feel the energy. Wow. Or, nah, man, something's off. I can feel it in the energy. Something over there, you know? And I'm like, only Electro can do that because he can feel it, literally. So all of that was just really cool. I personally could have did without some of the side characters. Sandman and the Lizard, for me,
They was just there.
I didn't care for the Lizard in Amazing Spider-Man, and this didn't make me care for him much in this one.
To me, he was the lesser Green Goblin for me. Like he was intelligent, but he was mainly there to create snarky comments. Like he didn't really add anything of something. So basically, to move on to the next bit, everything went to shit for Spider-Man. Green Goblin showed his true face. He said, you really think you're gonna cure me? Like you're gonna cure a god? We're basically like gods. Max Dillon, which was Jamie Foxx's character, was like, yeah, you're right. So everything went to shit. The Lizard escaped and started going crazy. And then the only one that they got on the good side was Doc Ock, because they cured his chip in the back that he regained control. So they got him good. So everything went to crap. Happy's location, his condo, everything blew up. Green Goblin, they had a chaotic battle between Goblin and Spider-Man. So like a little nostalgic feel from Spider-Man, the original Spider-Man, without it being involving the original Spider-Man. And during the entire time, I love Goblin's dialogue. He was like, you thought you could cure me? You're underestimating my power. You thought this was going to happen on my watch? And he was like, welcome aboard, kid. And then I like Lizard's comment. He was like, I told you there will be consequences, and here they are. Both of them basically said, Peter, we warned you. Gotcha, bitch.
Yeah, I agree. The dialogue, I will say, the dialogue with all of these villains was something cool, especially as they were all like locked up and they were all interacting with each other. I do really love how they basically paralleled where the villains from Toby's universe knew each other. Doc's like, Norman, but you died, you know?
I like the little
Norman's
subtlety.
like,
I like the
yeah,
subtlety.
you know, freaking the Lizard recognizes Max, and Max is like, yeah, he was this and this until he went all crazy and turned himself into a lizard, this and that. And it's like, Max, I can make you a lizard. You got a new look. What happened to you? You used to be real ugly with these buck teeth, you know, trying to make fun of that look. See, it's little subtle things they would say where you were like, oh yeah, because people did kind of joke about how they had Jamie looking toe up. And that's why I said again, shout out to the MCU. They know not to make a brother look toe up. You know what I mean? They had a brother looking clean cut, looking nice, looking bad, you know? Like, yeah, just the whole thing. I think even he made a nice little joke about that. But that's what I was saying. Like, I love how everybody was able to take any negatives from previous Spider-Mans and like make fun jokes out of it.
I love it. So basically we got to the point where it was the turning point of this entire movie. So May was fighting for her is that her nephew? Because you don't ever say aunt. Like I always question that all three movies. I'm like, you're the only one that doesn't say aunt. You just say May by casual.
Yeah, it's his Aunt May. They just have him call her May probably for short. It's probably because the actress in his universe is so young.
Yeah, she look young. I'm like, you can't tell me she ain't her 50. You can't. I'm like, you a good looking 50-something-year-old. God damn.
Oh, you horny.
You damn right.
It's such a shame, man. Such a shame. But
everything had to go to crap for Peter to learn his lesson. So what happened? She died because of Green Goblin. He used his board in a way. I like the little callback that they had between Goblin and Spider-Man. You know how in the original he was trapped against a brick wall and the board was coming. And instead of hitting Goblin this time, it hit May. But instead of stabbing her, it grazed her to knock her out, and then Goblin broke free. I like that little callback to the original. I instantly caught that like that. And then as soon as they hit the line, you know the line I'm talking about. When she said it to Peter, she's like, with great power comes great responsibility. And I'm like, oh, she's about to die. I have those one-liners in movies where I'd be like, oh, she's about to die. Peter was like, I'm sorry. That kudos to Tom Holland. His acting was on point in this scene. I'm like, bro, you gave Tobey Maguire a run for his money because you cried on point. I say you crying on point, but you cried on point, sir. You made me believe.
Even a subtle tear as he ran away and Happy's like, run, Peter, run. You know, like to see the subtle tear come from Aunt May when she's pretty much all but dead at that point.
The detail, like, bro.
By far one of the best emotional moments in a movie
thus far.
That moment darn near levels the Tony Stark, Peter Parker moment when Peter Parker realized he was about to be blipped. It was just that same type of, in reverse, actually. You talk about callbacks, that's kind of how that was. That was a callback almost of when he got blipped from the Thanos snap. And it was just like, you know, there he is. Like, I don't want to go, Mr. Stark, I don't want to go. You know, you're seeing Tony there, like, you know, just, it was a nice little thing like that. Same type of dialogue. All in all, solid.
We're at that point now where everybody blames because they got the original J. Jonah Jameson being, he's the only one that I can see doing that.
Yeah,
he's the only one I can see doing that. Like, if it's anybody else, nah, he gives you that. I hate you. I hate you. And then we got to that point where we introduced the other two. Ned, for some reason, has Doctor Strange's ring, and he just said, you know what I'm gonna do? We gotta reach Peter. So he started playing around with the ring and opening portals, and they called for Peter, they got a Peter, but it wasn't their Peter. Andrew Garfield, aka Peter 3, or in my case, Peter 2.
That was funny, by the way, trying to figure out which Peter 1, 2, 3. Like they're like, who's Peter 1? I'm like, essentially for us, Toby's Peter 1, you're Peter 2, this is Peter 3.
Exactly.
But I mean, since you're in his universe, I guess that makes him
Peter 1. So emotional stuff aside, we're not gonna give you a full breakdown and everything. Emotional stuff aside, it was basically, we got to that point where he had to choose. He was like, I'm over this. I'm ready to go. So Ned and MJ found the Amazing Spider-Man. So Q, Andrew Garfield, and then our Spider-Man. When I tell you our theater popped for Toby, we was like, yeah, let's go. Yeah.
I agree. Our theater, when you saw Garfield, they popped for that.
They popped a little bit.
I didn't. They popped. You know, I heard loud pops for him, but when Toby got in, it was double of that. And I could even hear people in the background saying, yeah, the real Spider-Man. I was like, yep, the real Spider-Man. You sure
my
right.
Sister.
Yo, I'm with you. That is the real Spider-Man, you know.
And he still looks good, bro.
He does, man. Like Toby, I was like, wow. And I love the role he took, being kind of like the big brother of the three, where it was like, yeah, we're working through it. You know, me and Mary Jane, you know, we had our issues, but we're working through it. We're doing good. You know, so calm. Like, he's always been so chill. It's like he's a chill Toby. He's like, yeah, we're working on it, you know. Or, oh yeah, I fought an alien once. This is black goo, you know, and made out of black goo and whatnot.
Venom.
Like, oh yeah, you know, yeah, I had a best friend. I mean, he died in my arms before he tried to kill me.
What?
Yeah, it was like, you know, just all these different things he would say as a callback, you know, where he was just like, oh my God, your webs shoot out of your wrist? What? You don't have a web maker? That was the best part to me.
I appreciated that. I
really did.
I was expecting MCU to MCU it and make it come out of some things, but they kept it to the Sony version. I'm like,
yes,
thank you.
I was sitting there when that thing, and they said it came out. He was like, wait, how does that happen? Do you have like web blocks? And he's like, no, they come out. Like, I don't. It's like, wait,
he did have that one.
I've had web blocks. You can feel other references with that.
Why did that scene feel like an outtake that they just said, keep it in? It literally felt like a behind the scenes, like they was just talking. They just said, you know what, we're going to film all three of you, just talk. Like, I feel like none of that was written in the script. They just improvised like crazy. I'm like,
what?
I agree.
It didn't feel like a slow moment, but it felt like extended behind the scenes, just insert. I was in the movie like, what is going on? What are you talking about? I enjoyed it though. It was
I enjoyed it.
hilarious.
And shout out to Andrew Garfield when he's just like, because I was almost kind of wondering too, like, here's Garfield in his suit, you know Peter's in his suit, so Toby comes in all smooth, like just dressed fully, and you're like, huh, interesting, and then it's like, hey, wait, so do you have your suit, or are you just gonna be fighting looking like a youth pastor? And we cracked up because we like, yo,
The whole
he
theater
does
lost
look like-
their mind. He was looking like a modern white youth pastor who try to reach the black community, but has no idea how to reach us. My God.
We were like, yes, he does look like a youth pastor. I was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm going to Fusion. Oh my God, like, yo. And he pulls the shirt down and you see it, and you're like, yes, it's under there, like, let's go. Man, what a callback.
And then obviously the ending, we're gonna let you see the ending, but the ending was all sorts of emotional. Like, they basically wrapped it up to where, okay, we have a choice. The Green Goblin's plan came to fruition because it came down to a final battle between Green Goblin and this Spider-Man, or still the modern Spider-Man, because he killed Aunt May. So it's fresh for him. So he's trying to kill Green Goblin. He's like, I'm going to kill you. I'm not gonna send you back because I'm going to kill you. The fight ensued. He threw Goblin into a power bomb. Shouts out to my wrestling fans. So it came down to, like, he's willing to make the final blow. And then our Spider-Man, our OG Spider-Man said, and he was just standing there, like, firm in his belief, like, don't do it. And then they end up curing him. They cured Green Goblin. So Green Goblin in this canon is no more. Green Goblin got cured. Connors got cured.
They all got cured.
They all got cured except for Dot Tavis. He's still...
Well, he was cured already. So he was
kind of cured.
Yeah, he's, as far as he has his mental stability in terms of that, those things don't control him. He controls them now. But yeah, man, and shout out to the fact of, speaking of callbacks, it looks like Goblin got his revenge on Toby just a little bit.
When he stabbed
just
him?
a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, when he stabbed in the back, like, nice
just
little
a little
comment.
bit.
It wasn't a fatal blow. He kind of stabbed him, like, in the stomach, and then I believe he can heal too, can he?
Yeah, I think Spider does have almost every character, it seems like. I thought it was just a Wolverine thing, but it seems like almost every character in the Marvel universe seems to have this healing factor.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. So I'm guessing he healed too, so he's good. So basically, to kind of wrap this up, because this was, like, I'm trying to tell you, the excitement is crazy with this movie. But basically after that, Peter said, you know what? The only way to protect the multiverse is to erase him from everyone's memory, and that being everyone. So you got the emotional scenes. He had his emotional goodbyes. He thanked OG Peter, the Peter that we barely acknowledged because those two movies were kind of trash. But if you enjoyed those Amazing Spider-Man films, kudos to you. They suck.
Kudos to you.
He said goodbye to them. He thanked them. And then he obviously got emotional with his best friends. He said, you're going to forget me. And he was like, I'm going to reintroduce myself, but you're going to forget me. And they was like, no. And this was basically the most emotional that we saw MJ. I like Zendaya's acting. She was barely emotional throughout the entire movie until this point. It was like a slow build for her. It was emotional for that. So now everybody don't remember who Peter Parker is. It went back to basically one where they didn't know who Spider-Man is, but in a way they erased him from existence too, so nobody knows who Peter Parker is at all. I was like, huh? But then I was like, okay.
But it's weird because they know who Spider-Man is. So.
They know who Spider-Man is, so it's like, y'all could have just went. I guess they had to create conflict for the potential future Spider-Man 4 that they're going to drop. And it's like, oh, okay, he's going to spend the entire movie trying to get them to remember him. And then it's probably going to be like, or half the movie. And then once it gets to the midpoint, it's going to be like a climactic point. And then they're going to remember him. And all will be right in the world. And we got a little moment at the end where everybody got into MIT except for Peter. And then MJ and Ned are still friends. At one point, I thought they were dating, but they're friends.
I thought that too.
I was like, bro, y'all not about to do that. But then they was like, we're just friends. I'm like, cool. All right, bet. Peter had said something where I think he said LSU or something. And she had like a moment like, wait. So it's kind of like a little teaser for that. And then that's pretty much Spider-Man. No Way Home. Damn, y'all these names, but I enjoyed that movie. Top notch. Oh, the mid-credit scenes is Eddie Brock. The Eddie Brock from the two Venom movies that
Tom Hardy.
Eddie Brock. They set up for a 4, so we might get Venom because when they blast them back to their universe, a piece of the symbiote.
This was on me. My bad.
That was Spider-Man No Way Home. That was our review for it. I enjoyed it. You enjoyed it? I know you did.
Definitely. We'll probably give you guys maybe our synopsis, go a little deeper in these spoilers with some Easter eggs we might have caught, but also maybe even give y'all a rank now of what we feel are our best Spider-Man movies from all the ones that have been released to this point. Sounds like some good extra content. Who knows? Y'all let us know, Freeos. What y'all think?
You know what? It's been a good ride. Spider-Man No Way Home was quite the movie for your nostalgia and your modern day fans to kind of unite and agree that Spider-Man is the dopest hero out there because he's universal. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. As always, make sure you like this video, comment your thoughts down in the comment section. We want to hear from you. It's okay to be weird. It's okay to be not right, but we want to hear from you. As always, he's the vibe. I'm the loudmouth. You guys stay safe out there.
Freeos.